This is Laugh or Death, hosted by keynote speaker Paul Ozenkup.
Okay, everyone, I am very excited about my guest today, Chris Bruce. And we've been able to collaborate together on a few projects over the years, but Chris Bruce is the creator and owner of King Creative, a video and audio production studio. And they have just co-produced the mockumentary comedy, The Conspiracists, which is on Amazon Prime right now. And I got to watch it last night. It's great. It's about a brother and sister who create a conspiracist conference called ConCon. And Chris also, he's had plenty of time in front of the camera as an actor, TV host, and even a professional mascot for the University of Delaware, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Washington Wizards. But I'm stoked to have him in his regular middle-aged white guy costume today. So welcome, Chris.
Hey, it's a good costume. It works for me at least, and I think everybody should embrace theirs, whatever it is. But it's good to see you, man. How's everything?
Oh, it's going well, man. Just diving into podcast world. I was like, man, I'm like the only middle-aged dude without a podcast in the world, so I better join
if you're
before
not
it's too late.
Podcasting, are you even living at this point?
Exactly. If you haven't talked about it on a podcast, it never happened.
That's right. It used to be like if you don't get the pick, it never happened, right, on the cell phone.
Right.
But now it's like if you haven't talked about it or created a podcast about it, it doesn't even exist.
Exactly. Yeah. Like your life is not content unless it's actually on the internet. Well, yeah, I'm stoked to get started. And like I said, I watched The Conspiracists last night, and man, I was really impressed. I was very excited to check it out, and I want to talk a little bit about that a little later on. But congratulations on the film.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I know I was joking before, but it really is best the third time. So we'll talk more about the movie a little later in the podcast. And I can't wait for you to get to that third watch and really get into it.
Yeah, I was thinking there's probably some little hidden Easter eggs and gems in there, especially for a movie about conspiracies. You got to hide a few little things in there,
Oh, man, there's a lot of fun stuff for sure, and we're just excited about it. But, Paul, dude, you look great. It's great to be on the show. I'm excited. Laugh or death. I mean, good. Man, talk about raising the stakes.
Let's go. Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, so I want to start off, let our listeners learn a little bit about you. So I always like to ask our guests to get warmed up. What's something weird about you that we should know? Something weird about you that you love, or something weird that makes you happy?
There's so many things, I think. I mean, listen, I've made a career as a professional idiot. I mean, that's pretty weird. Not many people can say that. I was professional mascot. I mean, you mentioned that a little bit in my intro, working with, the Philly sports teams, right, with the Eagles. And, I was the Washington Wizards. I'm currently working as a collaborator with the, Good Morning America and all kinds of stuff. But, what is weird about me is, gosh, I really genuinely can't even think of something I wouldn't eat. People are like, "Oh, what do you like?" And I'm like, everything. I don't know. People are like, I can't stand that. It's hard for me, to pick. And when I go to a restaurant, I'm like, please have less items on the menu. It's just too hard.
Yeah.
I want you just to tell me what I'm eating. It's just way easier. So less is more there.
What's the weirdest thing you've eaten?
It's so many. I just love food. I love anything. My general rule in life is if it's been around for thousands of years and people have been eating it for that long, it can't be that bad. So I would really eat anything. I've eaten all kinds of stuff, man. It doesn't even matter. You throw it at me. If it doesn't crawl too fast, I'm eating it. And that's really just a matter of catching it at that point. It's not that I wouldn't eat it. It's just, did I get it?
If it doesn't crawl too fast, I'm eating it. I like that. All right. I'll have to make sure, that the next puppy I get is really quick.
I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying I might. If the sauce is in the room and I'm hungry, I don't know what happened.
Well, I kind of agree with you though. Like when I travel, I'll try anything. There's definitely foods that I don't love, but when I was in Peru, they eat guinea pig there. They call it cuy, and so I ate a guinea pig. But like you said, they've been eating that for hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's like, who am I to say?
Guinea pig with rice?
Yeah.
Guinea pig and rice is probably fantastic. I can't imagine it not being good.
For me, the hardest part was you can order it in different ways. And I was like, well, if I'm going to try guinea pig, I'm going to go to a nicer restaurant. they brought this thing out like a rotisserie. Like, I mean, it looked like a guinea pig on my
That's
plate.
like a spectacle. You're like, oh no, that's legitimately a guinea pig. I can
Yeah,
see it. Does it
I
come
don't
with a
love it when
name?
my food looks
Like,
like what it is,
what
but hey.
child did we steal this from? Oh my God, that's like, woo.
Uh,
Yeah,
anyway, well
tough one there.
well that's great. Now I know if I take you out to dinner, I don't have to stress too much about where we're going.
Oh, I'm the easiest one when it comes to that. I'm like, literally, where do you want to go? Because I guarantee you're pickier than I am. So if you have any kind of, just take me there. I'm fine.
That's good. Because that's always a pet peeve of mine is when you ask somebody like, hey, what do you want? Because I'm generally that way too. I mean, every
Yeah,
now and
yeah,
then I'm in the mood for something particular, but I'll eat pretty
sure.
much anywhere, anything. But when you ask somebody like, hey, what do you want? They're like, oh, I don't care. And then you go, how about that Italian plate? Nah, I don't like
Ah,
Italian.
nah, I had Italian yesterday.
Right.
You're
Right.
like, come on, man, just tell me what you want.
Exactly. I really don't care. Well, I'm curious about this mascot thing. So, like,
Yeah,
it never occurred to me that you could do that professionally because I think you and I are a couple of
yeah.
guys maybe cut from the same mold. I was the tiger mascot for my high school, and it was, I mean, to me, that was like the height of living. I freaking loved that, and it never occurred to me like I could do this at the next level, for me it was a little weird because I'm only 5'4", and we had two of us.
Sure.
There were two costumes, and there was another guy who's like, a normal sized man, and
Yeah, so you were really the cub out of the group.
yeah, exactly. And so all my friends always knew when it was me in the costume because the legs were all bunched up down by the feet.
That's right.
So maybe I wouldn't have been a great
Well,
professional mascot, but
yeah, I mean, listen, there are definitely people that do it professionally that are at different heights, and that's not necessarily a barrier. But I mean, and I had no idea going to college, which is where I ultimately started becoming a mascot, that would ever happen. I went to the University of Delaware, and I went there pre-med. I was kind of like, all right, I can be a doctor. That's sort of like where I was headed. And first week or so in school on campus, there was a group of us in like the freshman dorm. They used to call them wolf packs, right? We would all get together in strength and numbers, and we would just sort of explore campus. And
yeah,
we were in one of the student centers, and we walk in, cookies are literally flying around the room. And I'm like, what is going on?
right.
And I turn around and I look, and the mascot is over there literally just flinging them around like Frisbees, just having a good old time. And they were out handing out flyers for tryouts.
Oh my
And it
gosh,
sort of just struck me. I was like, wait, that's a thing? Like, I didn't even think about
right?
like that as an option. I was going to I was all set up to swim at Delaware, actually. I talked to the coach. I was, funny enough, going to come out of retirement for somebody that was, essentially 19 at that point. I had swam my whole life, but I stopped in high school because our high school didn't have a team. But I was a pretty good swimmer. I was Junior Olympics and all that kind of stuff. And
Oh
I was
wow,
just like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to do it. I know I can do it. It's a hell of a challenge. But I've always wanted to be a part of something, so I didn't just want to go to college and be a number.
yeah,
So I was like, that'll be my way to be kind of involved. And then the mascot thing sort of hit, and I ended up getting the flu, funny enough, which is hilarious. Everybody loves that. And because of that, though, I didn't go into the swimming side because I couldn't swim with the flu, and I was behind, right? So, like, the first week, 2 weeks of swimming is all about conditioning.
yeah,
And I was already starting from, like, way back. And then it was in that time frame that the mascot opportunity kind of came up. And it just sort of struck me. And one of the people that I was with that I'd kind of become friends with freshman year was like, dude, you could totally do that. I was like, yeah, I could totally
I
do that.
love
So I
that.
filled it out. I handed it in. And I saw some of the people that I saw that day multiple times on campus. And they were like, oh, yeah, don't worry. You'll get a call when tryouts are going to happen. I was like, great, awesome. I go to a March Madness night, which is like, or not March Madness, it was Midnight Madness, which was like the start of basketball season. They
Yeah,
would host these rallies, right, before the season started. And we go, and we might have had a couple. I don't know. It's very possible. And I'm in there. I see down on the court the mascot, and I see the guy. His name was Ryan. And I'm like, man, I'm going down there. And I walk down, and I say, hey, when are tryouts? And he's like, what do you mean? We just had them. And I was like, well,
oh,
I never got a call. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. This is getting repetitive.
oh, brutal.
And so he goes, tell you what, meet me tomorrow at this place at this time, and we'll see what happens. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So next day I show up, and it turned out that they had the tryouts, but the guy that I had turned the paper with in lost it because I was the first one to do it, and it just kind of got lost in the shuffle. And Ryan, the guy that I saw that I had seen multiple times, kind of was hoping I came out because we had played some pickup basketball. He kind of, I don't know, he saw something in me that was like fit the mold of what he was looking for, and what they got at tryouts wasn't that. So he basically gave me an on-the-spot tryout the next day, took me to one of the student centers. I got in a costume for essentially the first time outside of a Halloween costume, right?
Right.
And I had a blast. It really just was wild. I was like, this was so much fun. And I was on the team. So I became the mascot at the University of Delaware from that unconditional tryout, and sort of started to learn and take it in. And, the rest was history. And my mom essentially told everybody that she sent me off to college to become a doctor. Very prestigious. She was ready to be proud
Yeah.
of me. And then I came home a stuffed animal. So,
Hey, I'm glad you found your calling then, though, and not like during the middle of a surgery going,
true.
You know what would be funnier?
You know what? I should do something else. Here's my scalpel. I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
It became like for college, right? I ended up, switching to a business degree, marketing and management, very entrepreneurial, which also fit my personality.
Yeah.
But all my free electives ended up being like bio and chem classes, right? So, I was able to switch gears, and everybody else senior year was taking stargazing, and I was still in core classes, but it all worked out.
Yeah, but you were getting all that stress out by making people laugh.
Oh man, I had outlets, dude, and it took off, dude. It was crazy. I was in college. I was doing the University of Delaware mascot, but then I started. I got an opportunity with the Lehigh Valley Dogs, which was a USBL league semi-pro basketball team out of Lehigh Valley. It was an hour and a half north of campus where we were in Delaware. But Larry Holmes, the boxer?
Yeah.
He was one of the owners of the team. And Chocolate Thunder Dawkins, if you're an NBA fan at all, was one of the original guys in the NBA, basically the original, backboard breaker.
Okay.
Played for the Sixers, was a legendary player back in his time. He was the coach. And so I was on this team. I got the mascot opportunity up there through, something. One guy knew a guy or saw me perform. Was like, oh, you should try out to do this. We need a mascot. And I'm just crazy enough to say, you know what? I'll drive an hour and a half multiple times a week to do games while I'm in college doing the other thing.
And that's got to be hard driving with those big mascot hands too.
Dude, it was, especially with a head on. You can barely see. I mean, not even close to safe. And but it was a lot of fun, right? So I was learning how to do it, and in a lot of ways cutting my teeth. And what was great about that is I got a chance to just sort of let loose and there was no rules. And I could learn how to entertain, learn how to engage, spontaneously interact, what was funny, what wasn't. And what an outlet, man. It was great. And that among other things, I became the mascot for the NCAA's official mascot of NCAA basketball in college as well. So I was starting to tour around the country doing games. I was doing that while my friends were, laying on the floor, recovering from the night before. I'd be tiptoeing out to the airport to go for a weekend of performances and then come back. But it gave us a lot of beer and pizza money, and
amazing.
It worked out well. So it was kind of great.
I'm curious, as a mascot, you're interacting with people and bringing people joy, making them laugh, but without any words. What did you notice about that? Like, what did you notice about what you were doing? And do you have any stories from being a mascot that, I don't know, just kind of funny stories, things that have happened that you think, oh my gosh, this is
well, there's a lot of them, really. It's hard. Gosh, I mean, the whole thing, body language is really powerful, right? I mean, I think it taught me how to really be able to communicate non-verbally.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way, because obviously it also helps when you are able to talk, you're still able to use your body in ways that communicate. I got really good at being able to have full conversations with people silently.
Yeah.
And be able to connect with emotion and tell full stories. And really, they would leave thinking we've literally had a conversation. And you get in those environments and you would just be able to let loose, to have fun, and to connect on human levels. It also allowed me, really kind of honed in the ability to kind of read people and to understand emotion, and to be able to very quickly kind of see kind of where somebody was at, because that's what you're doing. You were really scanning and kind of watching and observing, and you became really hyper aware of that. And it was kind of fun because I'm pretty. I mean, you might not know it by looking at me, but I can move pretty well. And one of the things that would happen to me all the time, and especially in basketball, because it was traditionally a pretty urban, sport, a lot of black, audience, but I loved it. It was my favorite because one, different cultures have more fun, and I hate to say it, but if you look like us, you're typically a little stiffer,
Right.
a little less apt to let loose and enjoy yourself in those environments.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, and I constantly would get, mistaken for somebody of a different color, constantly.
Oh, sure.
And it was a compliment. It was a compliment because it just meant that I was connecting.
Yeah.
And I was relating to them, and I was having fun with whoever it was. And it wasn't just, people that maybe they were black. It was in all cultures. I found ways to kind of connect, which was a great exercise, as a human, to be able to make those connections and to do that. But that happened all the time. The other day I was doing something, I think it was with Good Morning America, actually. We were doing the Philadelphia parade, and we had just unveiled this giant 5-story balloon version of the character, which I portray. And it was the first time I ever remember there was the big parade floats.
Yeah.
I've never seen one that was designed and made of a mascot. There's been characters, right?
Right.
From television, film, games, Sonic the Hedgehog or Snoopy or whatever.
Yeah.
But you've never seen one of a mascot. So the fact that this happened was super cool.
That's sweet.
And to walk up was really surreal. This character that you've been kind of bringing to life and making happen, and now is kind of this thing. There's a picture, and I'll have to send it, maybe you can see it here, is of the character Ray, GMA Ray, coming down the street in the City Hall. Philadelphia's right behind. It looks like Ghostbusters, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man just coming down. And it was just so fun to be able to see that. And in that parade, all the people holding the strings that were carrying the float swear, they were like, I see you. They're like, yeah, we know, we got you. And I'm like, yeah.
You're like, hey, make that thing move a little more, man. That thing doesn't move like I do. You're like, tug on those strings a little bit. Give him some action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so many great stories. I can tell you, over the years in college, things got a little crazy, as you can imagine. I got pulled into a couple sorority houses, which I can't really talk about. You got into questionable things, but I think then I learned that you had to be careful and be able to walk the lines. You want to push the boundaries, but you didn't want to get too far over the edge.
Hey, we're not here to kink shame those sorority girls. If they're into the mascot thing,
they're into what they're into, and I'm definitely not here to judge, but it was eye-opening. It was eye-opening.
I'm sure it was, man. Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Were there times, you were talking about reading the room, or being able to read people? Because I imagine, you're trying to make people laugh and, be silly and that kind of stuff. But then there's times where you're just scaring the living crap out of a kid, maybe, or they're scared when you go up to them. And you have to read that, or maybe a guy who's way too into the game and he's upset or whatever.
Yeah, can I just use this as a PSA for parents everywhere? So, public service announcement: if you see a mascot, don't shove your kid at the mascot. Right. Allow for the time and the space. If a character or a performer knows what they're doing, they will earn the trust of the kid, and sometimes you need to kind of work and get there. But I tell you, the amount of times a parent would just shove their kid towards you, and then that would trigger the cry. I can't even tell you. Bro or ma, whatever it was, why'd you do that? Now I got to fix it. And it was it would make it so much harder. But that, for the kids' side, that was really the things. You would usually try to get down to their level a little bit. You would go slow, maybe get their mom or their dad to pet your fur, earn the trust that way. So you wouldn't go direct to them. You would tend to go to somebody else, get them to laugh, get them to kind of relax and feel safe. And then once they did, it was it's over, right? Big hugs. And then a lot of times you couldn't get rid of them. So it's you became best friends. And it's right out of that, right? It's did we just become best friends?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of those
right out of Step Brothers. Yeah,
right out of Step Brothers.
Yeah, and this poor family, years later, they're trying to figure out. We don't know why Corey is so deathly afraid of cats. You know, he's never
Right.
attacked by a cat, but you know, they don't realize that when he was 3, they threw him at some like mascot wildcat
Oh my
thing.
God. Yeah, it's crazy. And then for the fan, like maybe that over the top sports fan, which listen, I'm all about it. Be a fan.
Right.
You know, your passion, that's great. But it's so funny sometimes the amount of, you know, you think about it, like maybe you're working the crowd and maybe it's an opposing fan and you're coming through. And again, if you know what you're doing, you don't sit in spots too long. You kind of move, you keep it going. You know how to work a crowd where that doesn't becomes too much of an issue. But there are times when some people take things so over the top, and I would just very simply say lose perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because they start to flip out at a giant whatever that is, right? It could be, a fuzz. You know, think about the Philly Fanatic, right? Like this fantasy character, and imagine, you know, having an argument with a Muppet. You know, like this is what you're doing. Just throwing it out there. You know?
Yeah, it's time to reevaluate where you're at in life when
Yeah.
you're just sitting there freaking out on a Muppet because your
I
team's down
don't
by
think
8.
it's the mascot that really is the problem here. I think something else is happening in your life that maybe you're not dealing with,
Yeah.
and we should address that first.
Exactly. That's funny. So speaking of that kind of stuff, you know, Laugh or Death, the podcast it's all about like how we can lean into our sense of humor and maybe living a little bit more lightly and balanced in life's gravity with a little levity, and leaning into those times when like life went wrong, or is there a time when things just went badly for you, but humor helped kind of buoy you through it?
I mean, I will say that I lean heavily on humor and a sense of humor in general to get through a lot of situations. I think it's a really wonderful coping mechanism. I think it's a really good way to remain kind of level.
Yeah.
And not lose perspective. Because, I mean, listen, things are going to happen, right? But I have a general perspective that could always get worse. So imagine you're in the worst circumstance that you can imagine in your life.
Yeah.
And then an elephant fell out of the sky and landed on you.
Right.
It could always be worse. So this is just perspective. Take that for what it is. But in particular, there's a lot of circumstances. As a father, you know, my little one's 5.5, will be 6 soon. She'll, you know, throw her body around, falls off a couch, hits a thing, and you constantly are kind of figuring out those circumstances. And I use humor all the time with her. And my wife and I will tend to joke that whatever she hurt, if it's her arm or leg or head or you name it, immediately we go, oh my God, and we kind of react, but not in an over the top way that we have to like replace the limb. Oh, do you need a new hand? All right, hold on. We just start focusing on trying to find, we're like going through the cupboards. Well, I'm out of hands. I don't know. Are there hands over here? And that makes her laugh. And it's just a good way to use humor to kind of distract and to bring them back. Because a lot of times, you know, you're overreacting in the moment, right? So that's one.
I love
So I would say that's a great
real
parenting
quick
tip, by the way. It works.
I love that so much too, because for one, I mean, part of that you probably do naturally, you know, from your mascot training, you know, just like
Sure.
the kid is starting to freak out because they hurt themselves or whatever.
Right.
And from what you told me about mascotting, it sounds like it's also based really in like clowning, and hospital clowns do that type of stuff a lot with kids, you know, just try to, you know, make believe these things like, oh, we need a new hand, or, you know, that kind of stuff. And it really goes a long way to just
magic. It really is magic, and it works every time. And it's one of those things now that it's like a thing. So it's almost like sometimes I think she might just hurt herself just so we can pretend her hand needs to get repaired. But, you know, it works because now we're having fun together and you create moments that, you know, it's not about the injury. It's really about that moment now that you've created. And now where you end up, what started as crying ends up as laughing. And it's a beautiful thing.
If you're a parent listening to this, you know, just remember, like, you know, I think sometimes when that happens, we go to either we're frustrated or, you know, maybe you're starting to freak out a little bit, or you're annoyed, like, oh my gosh, it's not that bad, whatever. But man, that humor, leaning into that can go a long way.
Listen, it changes. I mean, and really, there's a lot, and we don't need to get into the child psychology of this, but I think there is a lot in, you know, the way we interact, and we have to remind ourselves that we're the adult, and we're the one that should be able to like manage our emotions, and not the kid who's 5 or 6 or whatever. they have a long way before their brains are really fully developed and are able to cope in ways. So we have to help them through those things.
I love it.
And we have to remember they're 5, they're 6, whatever. So that's one thing we do. It's really fun. And have a bag full of extra body parts. Always helpful for that. It gets us through a lot of times. And then one other one was actually performance related. I was working an event. It was a parade, and I was in costume in this case. And I went to go run up towards where the main stage was. And I'm pretty physical, and I would usually pop up or jump on this or do that. And I just happened to run up and plant, and it was like gravelly. And so as soon as I hit, I started to slide, and which is fine, except I was pretty close to the stage, and there was a metal bar going across. And I just like, bam, nailed it. And in the moment, adrenaline's running. I didn't really know what's going on. I like get knocked down to the ground, and I pop up. And I'm on like one leg, and I'm jumping on my right side because it was my left, knee area that was sort of affected. And I didn't really know because I'm in costume, so things are covered, really what had happened. But I just know that like, ow, or like that was weird. And I'm navigating, and then I finally get like nudged by somebody, and I kind of put a little bit of weight on my left leg, and it just flopped. And I'm like, that's not good. Well, long story short, they have to like shut down the parade. They bring in an ambulance. They take me to the hospital. This whole thing. So that's fun. But when I'm there, you haven't lived until you shut down a parade. I'm telling you.
Exactly,
so
man.
We're in the hospital, and I'm in this place. Kind of,
hold on. Can I pause you real quick and ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
When they like shut it down and they're taking you, did they take you by ambulance? Yes. Were you still in the mascot?
I was for the most part until I might have popped the head off towards the end because I was like, whatever. And
that's like a clip that would go viral these days, man.
Oh my God, it was great. So that happens, which is over the top and ridiculous. And the funny thing too is, as a character, they don't know when you're serious.
Yeah.
Because you're typically like, I would do a face plant.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, I'm hurt. And like the guy that was with me was like, it took him a while to actually realize I actually was hurt, which was kind of its own problem. But we go to the emergency room. They take us in. They get there. At that point, I do obviously get out of the costume, so they have to be able to get to the knee and everything. And I swear to God, 4 or 5 different people in there, all trying to put my kneecap back in place because they thought it was dislocated. And they were like, literally, I'm not even kidding you, tagging in like it was like a wrestling match because they couldn't get it. And I was in the moment just basically announcing it, almost doing a play-by-play color commentary of this as it was going down. So I could have been freaking out, and I could have been in that moment like overwhelmed by the pain and everything that was going on. But I chose humor to help me get through it because it was pretty ridiculous. But what was really over the top is that it turned out that they were trying to push a kneecap back in place, but that wasn't the problem. I had severed my patella tendon in half, cut it in half. So it was never going to go. So like they were just bad at their job, but listen, we don't need to like call them out. I won't mention the hospital, but I do distinctly remember like how insane and absurd that whole circumstance was. Luckily, we were able to get the repair, and I honestly back, but I had to do a full patella repair, cut it in half, severed it. Right,
but maybe it's a full circle moment. Maybe those doctors were supposed to be mascots, and they were just sitting there, screwing around. But they didn't know. They're like,
No, they did. I think that they were just so focused on that this is what it is, and why won't the knee go back in place? And they were literally taking turns. And
you're sitting there like, up next we got Dr. Bryant,
and I had them tagging in. Like they were literally tagging in to like, and then they were like getting up on chairs. Like they were like trying to like put my knee back in place. And then at some point I'm like, are you sure this is what just going to throw it out there. Are we sure that's what it is?
Oh, yeah.
It seems like this would have happened by now.
Well,
oh my God, it was so crazy.
One of because to me, that whole scene that sounds like a scene from a movie. right? Like it sounds like a
Or
scene from
Scrubs or something,
yeah,
right? Just
yeah,
some kind of movie, a sitcom,
yeah,
just completely. This is something that would come out of a comedy writing room
yeah,
that people would be like, oh, and then what if this happened? Oh, well, but check this out. Then we're gonna do this,
yeah.
and it was like completely far fetched. No, it was real. That actually happened for
Yeah, and in the movie,
100%.
you're still in the mascot costume with the head off,
Yeah,
and then and these
absolutely.
guys, these idiots are sitting. Oh my god, that's great. Well,
It was
but
amazing. It was
you know what I
absolutely
like
amazing.
about that too is one of the things when I'm out speaking and talking about reframing our situations is that
Sure.
oftentimes when things in our lives happen, we're casting in our own mind, we're casting ourselves as the lead actor in a drama. You know, it's always
Sure.
like, oh, I can't believe this happened to me, and then she said this, and I did, and any negative thing that happens, it's just this dramatic thing. But at
Right.
any point in time, we can choose to even retroactively reframe it and go, what if I were the lead actor in a comedy, and how would that main character handle that situation? And so, you know, I always
Hey.
think like, I don't want to live my life as an actor in a drama just to reach the end and realize I was the director and it could have been a comedy at any point in
You
time.
could have chosen to enjoy the experience. Wow, what a wild idea that is, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
do have that choice. We really do have that choice. And, I think perspective is so important. I work hard at it. I think I've gotten to a point where it's pretty natural now that you try not to let things go too far before you kind of go, wait a minute, and you take that half step back and
Yeah.
you kind of look around and say, why am I upset? Why am I getting worked up? Why am I whatever? And because typically you're only hurting yourself, right? You're
Yeah.
only doing, damage to your own world, and you could be taking a different lane, a different path towards a solution, or letting it go even, heaven forbid. I think the
Absolutely.
problem is human beings, we struggle when we don't have answers or we don't know something. And we'd rather fill it in with something. I don't care what it is. Just give me an answer.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's okay. Just you don't have to have the answer. You
Even
don't
in that
always have to know.
hospital, even in that hospital
Yeah,
situation, like even if you
sure.
in the moment were just writhing in pain and you were upset about that they couldn't figure it out, I mean,
Yeah.
you could hang on to that anger your entire life and
Wow.
be like, these guys didn't know, what's going on. I can't believe it. Or you can, look at it and with some perspective and go, this entire situation was absurd and
It was
hilarious.
so
And
great.
it helps you
But it
just
was way
let go of it.
funnier, way more memorable because they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
So thank you, I guess.
Yeah.
Really great. And speaking of medical, one other thing I do, and this is for me, I get a laugh out of this. And if you can't make yourself laugh, then, that's on you.
Right.
But imagine going in for a procedure where you have anesthesia, right? I've been fortunate enough to have multiple colonoscopies, which what a ride it's been.
It's
But
same.
I purposefully, when they're going to start to give you anesthesia, I always want to leave them with a one-liner. And I do something where I say something nice. I'll say something just general like, hey, really appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot for whatever. I'll say something just positive, and then I'll leave them with something ridiculous. And it doesn't matter what it is. I kind of come up with it in the moment. I try to be just sort of observational and situational in my comic approach with that. But it is definitely a thing I do. And I always enjoy that, like, knowing I'm going out as I'm leaving, like delivering a line. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I love that.
Cracks
It's
me
like if
up.
you were a comedian and you left with a banger joke and then just kind of
Yeah,
walked back with your pants halfway down. It's like the
it's
last thing they
awesome. And
see,
it's
I'm just
like,
gonna make them laugh, and the next thing they are gonna do is look at my butt.
yeah, and you're like, oh, I'm really glad to see you're not wearing your watch. Wouldn't want you to lose it in
Yeah,
there. Or whatever. You just give them something ridiculous. You're like, it's just something fun. And for me, I think that is just sort of symbolic of the way I like to live, which is really just being in the moment, appreciating people, but also sharing in that joy. Because if they do, I mean, I have to believe that if I make them feel something, laugh in that moment, as ridiculous it is. I mean, they're literally going up in there and probing around, but
oh yeah,
they're probably gonna take better care of me. They're gonna. I'm not that they wouldn't, but little things matter, right? It's just little things, and treat people the way that you want to be treated. Treat people the way that they want to be treated, right? That's the new golden rule. Have you heard that, by the way?
the way
It's
that
not
they
good
want to be
enough
treated.
anymore to
Yeah,
just, yeah, it's not good enough anymore to treat people the way you want to be treated. you have to treat people the way they want to be treated, which how am I supposed to know that, first of all? But that's the new rule. So good luck.
Well, I love your approach with that too. And because I feel the same way, like, whatever it is, whether it's a proctology exam or somebody who's an accountant, we all have in our jobs things we do over and over again. So you're also just kind of like adding a memorable moment to their day, and also just making sure they're awake and, just give them a little spark of joy, because to you, like you said, they're probably doing so many of these to you. You're just another asshole, that
literally,
they're working on.
just another one in the line. Here we go.
Exactly.
Nothing like being on a conveyor belt of that.
The one thing I did, I've had a couple of colonoscopies as well, and one time I put a temporary tattoo of just a housefly on my butt cheek, and
that's fun.
It worked out great. Yeah. So I wasn't sure, what they'd, and so I'm laying there.
That makes me want to do like an arrow and say this way.
yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
Coin slot. Yeah.
That is so funny.
The nurses.
Almost there.
Yeah. The nurses pulled my, little robe back, and they just started laughing. And they were like, doctor, we've got something for you to see. And he walks over, and he's just very dry, and he just looks down at my butt, and he goes, "That always there? Or is that just for us?" I was like, just for you, welcome, Doc. And he goes, "Very, very good." I was like, "Hey, I'll take a very good,"
That's it, right? That's the best praise you could get in that moment from that guy. But you pushed him, and you created a moment. I think moments really do matter, and it's up to us to make them matter.
Yeah.
We're here to live. This is our life to live. You only get however many spins around it. Make it matter. Make it count. Make it, just kind of put yourself in that mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that you'll be better off for it. I mean, really, that's such a big deal. It really is.
So I want to make sure I want to talk about your new incredible project, The Conspiracists. For those of you,
I mean, I wasn't ready to talk about it at all. Because you mean this one? This one.
As he holds up the movie poster.
This is the official movie poster of The Conspiracists. You can go to theconspiracists.com. Paul, I know you've been living on our website. You go to Amazon Prime, Verizon Fios, Plex, and Vesta. These are all platforms. You can see it. US, UK, soon to be others. But yeah, man, The Conspiracists is so much fun. Like, if you like shows like The Office and that kind of comedy, it sort of sits in that place. But what a world we created. Just think of this. They're out to put on the first ever all-inclusive conspiracy theory convention. I mean, I don't even think I have to say anymore. And then it's the characters, and it's all the things that happen in and around that world. It's funny, but it has heart. These characters are relatable.
That's what
you think? You saw it, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is like when you first told me that you made this movie, and I thought, what a great idea. People who are putting on a general conspiracy conference and calling it Con. Yeah. But so I kind of assumed, and I knew it was like a mockumentary style, which I love, but I kind of assumed that it would be an easy route to go to just kind of make fun of these people.
Correct.
But you didn't go that route. Like you said, there was a lot of heart, and you really, you love these characters, and you're kind of endeared to how they're connected to these conspiracies and why. Was that an intentional thing that you were like, we don't want to be making fun of people?
I'm getting chills, but I will say that to give, Michael Peri Jr. and Lacey Riley, husband and wife, writing duo that, really wrote this script that ultimately Uncultured Swine discovered an option and then brought me in. Yeah, it was intentional. I mean, they were having fun. It was like a COVID fun project for them initially, right?
Yeah.
They're like just doing something, and they never probably imagined it would go this far, but they wrote something worth making, and that's what Uncultured Swine saw. And then they reached out to King Creative, to myself, and wanted to do it in Delaware, which is where we're based. And that's really where that all came to be. But I'm just so proud of the film. I'm so proud of the team. To take a SAG ultra low budget project and to get it to Amazon Prime, what an accomplishment that is. But it's because of the care and the attention to detail and all of the things we did to make it possible. But it all started with that script that Michael and Lacey wrote, which was just so great and it had so much heart, and it's clever and it's funny. And again, you're going to get little things you miss the second time you watched it.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, right? Because it's one of those films that's definitely a rewatch. It's one that you enjoy with friends. You know, it's one that you have a little watch party, you get your tinfoil hats and your red string and you create your classified documents just so that you can redact them.
Yeah.
And you get together and you just have fun and you watch this movie that unlocks a really fun world, but in a very human way.
Yeah. And, thinking about like finding humor in difficult subjects. I mean, conspiracy theories are like, so much in the lexicon nowadays. And I feel like with all of our internet silos have grown and grown and grown so much that I think it can be kind of a touchy subject and obviously a heavy subject, I think, for some people with misinformation and that kind of stuff. But you guys did such a fun job of creating a lot of laughs about conspiracies, but without, I think anybody from any walk of life could watch it and have a lot of fun with it. Like my favorite one in there is, men are from Mars and so are dogs. And that these people like have this conspiracy. They're like, yeah, men and dogs are like basically equals. As the proud companion with two dogs here, I gotta say, I feel like that's not very far off.
Right. No, for sure. I mean, like you said, conspiracies can be very polarizing.
Yeah.
I think that these theories open up a lot of windows into what some would consider to be that. But what we did was we kind of had fun with it in a heartful way, in a way that kind of honored the human story and made it very accessible because it's light, it's fun, it's clever, it touches on them without being offensive to them, right? So I think anybody, whether you believe in any of these conspiracies that are featured or not, can appreciate it and laugh. Gosh, how important is that? I mean, here we are on Laugh or Death, and that is what it is, right? We can choose to find the humor.
Yeah.
We can choose to find the commonality in that. And this whole thing with ConCon being an all-inclusive conspiracy theory convention kind of says that, right? It's like a safe roof for your truth, as we say sometimes with this. And the event itself represents that. We are, by the way, looking to put on ConCon for real.
Oh, hell
so
yeah.
We're actually in the works of doing ConCon in real
I love
life.
that.
It's going to be so fun. And I think it'll be obviously it's a fun way to kind of extend the life of the project in the film. But we're going to be able to see some of those wonderful booths that we created for the movie, but also allow others to come in and to share their wares and to do their thing. And maybe we create like seminars that are introductories to some of these theories, and we do Bigfoot calling contests and alien costume contests, or you name it, right? It's going to be a lot of fun.
That is great. Are you going to open it up to people with conspiracies that you've never even thought of or heard of to maybe like submit?
Yeah. We will vet them for sure because we do want to make sure that it is the vibe of the movie and it's not like a super, radical kind of, culture concept. We're not trying to create picketing event or issues there. But we do want this to be accessible and fun and light and to allow for people to just come together. And you know what's cool about it? You don't have to believe the same thing. And I think that's a message out of this that is important now more than ever. It's okay to think differently. It's okay to have different ideas. It's okay to believe something else, but it's not okay to be an asshole, right? It's not okay to treat people in a way that is degrading. It's not okay to undermine somebody else's success for whatever your personal gain. It is okay to lift each other up. It is okay to give each other an opportunity. It is okay to allow for grace and understanding.
Yeah.
And that's what we all need to do better. And I think, honestly, we're only hurting ourselves if we take those stances. You want to be miserable? That's on you. That's not my choice. I choose to laugh. I choose to have fun. I choose to embrace humor because it is a beautiful mechanism to get more out of life. And man, for me, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, it's an absolute just fun movie with like such a real uplifting kind of community vibe. So I think that the thought of doing the conference for real is such a
So fun.
good idea. Just bringing like-minded people together who really maybe they have all sorts of different ideas about different conspiracies, but they're like-minded in that we just want to have fun. And I'm curious if you have any good, fun stories from creating the movie. I mean, for people who haven't seen it yet, it's like you've got people in alien costumes and makeup, and it's just it looked like it was a blast. But any funny things that happened during the filming?
Oh man, I mean, it's funny. Like as much as I love humor, and maybe you're the same way, it is kind of hard to get me to laugh sometimes because I'm so like. When you're a joke writer, you're analyzing the joke and you're not necessarily so like, but I will say during production of this, I had a couple of the scenes and some of the actors in particular. If you watch the movie, Christopher Murray and John Jezer play two of the characters, Eric and Milton.
Yeah.
And both of their characters had moments of substantial improv. Paulie in that scene, those guys too, but those two, they got me, and it was tough. Like I was to the point where you're like, I'm trying not to ruin a take, but there was some brilliant, like just improvisation and just so clever and funny and off the cuff. And they got so lost in their characters that it was just amazing. And there were a few times where I thought, oh my God, I don't know if I could do it. I'm gonna ruin this take. And that just, again, is a testament to their talent in what they did. So those are simple things. Those are things I'll remember and that were super meaningful because it's the magic of making a film and a movie together. The vibe on set was incredible. I think it's rare to get a group of people that not everybody knows each other, and then you have to work so closely together in a way that it's kind of like trauma bonding, right? So like, you kind of become lifelong friends, or at least you share in something that you'll always have. And it's the vibe on this set was so good. And that I think comes across in the film. The alien, you mentioned that, right? This 9-foot inflatable alien, which if you watch it, you'll see it do some tricks.
Yeah, it was doing like some break dancing, the break dancing alien.
Some break dancing. I was very, very close to the performer who was in that costume, as in it was me. And
I was wondering. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I had to dust off a little rust there and throw myself in, and I didn't rehearse that at all. I just sort of went for it. I knew that these are kind of tricks that I've learned over the years as a professional mascot. But it was so funny because people didn't know what to expect, and some of the producers on set were like freaking out because there was this giant thing. They thought I was going to knock everything over, and I'm like, relax, just relax. I know it's huge, but I could probably get through that doorway without touching it easier than you. So just calm down. I'm a professional. I know it may not look like it, but I've done this a lot. And it's just being able to find opportunities to kind of do what you can to get people to react. How fun is that?
Right.
I mean, there was one of the conspiracies we did, which was with the Philly sports guy. And if you look him up, he's an over-the-top character in maybe the first ever professional fan. So if you don't know who the Philly sports guy is, look him up. He's unbelievable. Philadelphia, obviously. He cheers for all the teams. He paints himself up. He's got the mohawk. I'm sure you've seen him.
Oh, I've seen him before. When I saw him in the movie, I was like, oh, that's that guy. Like, I've seen him just watching games. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so he created, we worked with him to basically what he did at ConCon was man a sports conspiracy booth. And, you'll see some elements of that, but we created a mini diorama of Soldier Field, and we had dry ice. Cause if you remember, there was a game, it was called Fog Bowl.
Yeah.
When the Eagles were playing the Bears and the fog so conveniently rolled over the field in that second half. And so it was little things like that. These little details.
So his conspiracy is they did that on purpose. They dry ice. Yeah.
Yes. And then there was another reference to the Eagles Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Remember the field was wet?
Yeah.
And that whole thing. So he basically says that it was because of the sod father. And he's showing the turf is still wet. And it's just hilarious little nuanced stuff. And, there's so many great moments in the movie. To be able to shoot it in 11 days, which were action packed. And get this, we also filmed over the election. So we built the convention on election day, and then everybody had to come to set the next day after the results.
Oh my gosh.
And still somehow
That's
keep in a positive frame of mind, and to be able to, no matter where because I didn't know where people were leaning, who they voted for, whatever.
That's amazing.
You needed to maintain a productive and positive set in that environment. So talk about choosing humor.
Well, you know
had
what
to
though,
find ways
I
to
think
get
that's
through it.
I think that's I love that because yeah, like you said, no matter
Yeah.
where you're at on the political spectrum, the day after an election, particularly like the
Correct.
last couple of elections we've had, I think it's a day for that a lot of people are just kind of recalibrating, thinking, reflecting a lot, whatever.
Processing day.
Yeah. And maybe there were some people who were excited, looking forward. There are some people who are going, oh my gosh, this is a huge change. But that just goes to show too, that like sometimes, it's not like you guys were finding humor in the election, but it's not necessarily about laughing at your situation, but being able to still laugh through it. And humor sometimes provides such just a good distraction from all the other things that are going on.
I think humor is one of the healthiest distractions that our life has to offer.
Yeah.
And we need that. I mean, I see it again, when I'm interacting with my daughter, my wife, my coworkers, my team, so often we can get through a moment by just having a little bit of fun, having a laugh, regaining perspective, and moving forward.
Yeah.
And it just helps. It's so huge. Literally can't even tell you how many times. They'll probably say ad nauseum. Like, they're probably like, bro, it's almost, are you ever serious?
Right.
Like, obviously, because we get things done, but you have to enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it there, man. Chris, thank you so much. And if you're all listening, one more time, where can they check out the Conspiracists?
So go to theconspiracists.com. That's where you can kind of, see all the details about the film. You can follow us on Instagram at ConConMovie. And of course, you can stream on Amazon Prime, Verizon, Fios, Plex. And I always say it wrong. It's not Versus, it's Vesta. I don't know why that's stuck in my head. But, listen, life is funny. It's ridiculous. And it does not matter. Just embrace the ride. Enjoy it. Humor is here for you. It's your choice. I would take it and just run with it. And ultimately, at the end of the day, don't get worked up over things you can't control or don't matter. Have fun.
I love it.
Stay awesome and don't suck.
Stay awesome and don't suck. All right, Chris. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you doing this. And best of luck with the film.
Hey, pleasure, Paul. Thanks. Congrats on the show. I can't wait to see it. I'm sure we'll have other fun things to talk about. I'm always here for you, man. I'm a big fan. And get the humor habit while you guys are at it.
Hey, there you go. All right. Yeah. Take care, Chris.
You've been listening to Laugh or Death with Paul Ozenkup. If you're planning a conference or event and want something smart, meaningful, and actually funny, book Paul to speak. To learn more or to get a copy of his book, The Humor Habit, visit laughordeath.com.